The picture you're about to see was made in November 1993. Some of the contents may offend you and will definitely disturb you. Any actions taken as a result of seeing this film are at your own risk. Since the beginning of time, people have tried to decipher what the future has in store for them. To this end, they have consulted oracles, diviners, clairvoyants, astrologers, and fortune tellers to alleviate their fear of the unknown. In a remote village in southern Africa lives a Sanusi, a guardian of the African culture, a diviner and prophet who is burdened with visions and predictions of future events. Historian and high priest amongst African traditional healers, he has had prophetic visions since the age of 7. Just before he experiences a vision, colors start swirling around him. Then, as though he has been transported through time and space, he finds himself in another dimension. During these visions, he becomes the character featured. His name is Credo Mutwa.
I'm asking all those who believe in the power of prophecy to listen to what I've got to say. I have said many strange things, but what I'm going to say now is stranger still.
Credo has clearly seen Kennedy's killer. Perhaps you know him.
I was shown a man called John Fitzgerald Kennedy. The vision told me a very strange thing. 3 men were chosen to destroy this man of light. The murderers who killed Kennedy laid their plans not in the United States, but in a city that I once visited, the city of London. The man who shot President Kennedy from behind had fought in the Korean War. I was shaken when I realized that the man who had killed Kennedy was still alive.
And he is also one of the men who planned the downfall of President Nixon, who are planning treason against President Clinton.
The second man had also been a soldier or a policeman, and he is dead. And poor Harvey Oswald, that stupid warped maniac, he got killed because the man who really had the deadly gun which destroyed the president's head had to be protected at all costs. He is now a man in his 70s
and is a great officer in the Army of the United States. He lives in the west coast of the United States. He is a strong man who loves to catch fishes.
And when he hears my words, he will know that I'm talking to him.
I see you. Your face is big and strong, but fleshy now. Your hair is thinning. Your heart is weak, although you still see yourself as a strong man. I ask this man, what does he think he's doing? Killing your own flesh and blood.
You are a murderer, you. And yet Kennedy had once helped you, you ungrateful white Judas. You hated red Indians and you hated black people. You wanted America to stay in a war that she was not bound to win. You son of 1,000 monsters. And may as you die, the last face you see be my own.
A sinister murder was made to look like suicide.
Kennedy had had a secret lover, a beautiful woman, a lost woman, a woman of fire and ice, a woman called Norma Jean, whose other name was Marilyn of Monroe. As a warning to Kennedy, a group of murderers sent by the shadowy people who control things in the United States and elsewhere gave her a drink of a terrible medicine which caused such pain within her. It was like as if she was giving birth to a child. But they put a pillow over the beautiful one. They smothered her, and they did not even give her the right to scream to her ancestors for mercy. She died a horrible death alone, she who shared Kennedy's dream.
Credo predicted Dr. Verwoerd's assassination 6 months before it happened, but no one believed him.
I told them that Dr. Verwoerd was going to die, and he would die from a knife wound. And one of the white gentlemen told me angrily not to talk rubbish.
You know, I never thought of it, that something could happen like that, you know.
He warned that violence would erupt in Soweto.
And the closer we got to June, the more agitated he got. And I was involved in a lot of meetings with all sorts of people, trying to warn them that, you know, trouble was on the way. And not very many people were interested. They were more worried about bus strikes on the East Rand than any major trouble that may happen in Soweto.
A member of the Bophuthatswana government asked Credo to predict what would happen in the country.
I spoke to him, I think that must have been about December 1987, and I wanted him to predict what was going to happen the following year. He said, well, there was going to be a lot of upheavals where attempts would be made to unseat the government.
And that soldiers wearing red berets and grey uniforms would attack several very important people in the government of this land.
And on the 10th of February 1988, we had a coup here in Mmabatho.
Well, I thought he was so off the wall at those days that I didn't think it was worth my time.
There was never any doubt in my mind that if Credo said something, it had to be taken seriously.
No, he was quite right there, I'm telling you.
Credo foresaw George Bush's future role in the United States.
Credo correctly predicted that George Bush would become president. Not only was this said well in advance of the American elections, but even during an earlier period of time when Credo visited the United States, years before he threw the bones and said to George Bush that he would attain the highest office of the land. Clearly, his voice must be heard.
Credo has made startling revelations about the critical role Princess Diana and Prince Charles will play in the future of Great Britain.
Princess Diana's star will actually overshadow that of her husband. People will look upon her as the Princess of Wales and him as the non-entity. Princess Diana is unwell because she is afraid to face the life that she is leading. She is a child who should have lived in a peaceful cottage, but she has been thrown into the glare of unsought publicity. She is like a little butterfly caught in a furnace. I am sorry for her, but I'm just as sorry for Charles, because I do not see him wearing the crown of the ancient kings of England. I am sorry for him because one day people will say that he was the man whose actions seriously weakened the British monarchy. The world will blame him for the disintegration of the British monarchy and nobility somewhere in the 21st century. It was wrong for Charles and Diana to separate. They should have stayed together. They should have tried to love and understand and forgive each other. But they did not. And as a result, they have set the wheels in motion for an incident in which the lives of Prince William will be seriously threatened. When that little boy reaches his 13th or 14th year, an attempt will be made to either kidnap or to kill him. Madmen from Ireland, men who will be resisting the unity of Ireland, will be responsible for this. It will be found very, very soon, in about 5 years' time, that one of the royal children, I will not say which one, has taken drugs. They will be innocent drugs, but the enemies of England will blow this thing out of all proportion. In the great upheavals that will shake the world in the next 50 years, strange and completely unexpected things are going to happen. It is all this upheaval within the British royal family which will cause the breakaway of Scotland as the United Kingdom disintegrates and Ulster goes its way, as Wales says farewell to Mother England and becomes a little state on its own. So will mighty Canada break away from the British Commonwealth. Let me tell you that 2 other countries will do the same. One of these countries will be Australia, and the other will be New Zealand. Australia will be torn away from the British Commonwealth by a man who will be enraged at the fact that the Commonwealth is becoming more and more dominated by non-white people. This man is already alive, but when his time comes, this man will be numbered amongst the greatest leaders that the English race had ever known. This man will confront the rising empire of Japan and China, a huge conglomerate of nations which will dominate the world with money. This man will confront those nations, and he will be not afraid of sending out his armies against them. By the middle of the 21st century, I see the Union Jack very, very strange in appearance indeed. Gone will be the cross of St. Andrew. Gone will be the cross of Ireland. The Union Jack will no longer be a Union Jack. It will be just a red cross on a blue background. In fact, by the end of the 21st century, Great Britain will have become part of Europe, a republic ruled from Berlin.
A disturbing vision reveals the origin